Hey everyone, welcome into the KSL Stream Center. I'm Shara Park. We want to get going here on this situation that's been unfolding in West Valley City. All right, last night, a fisherman found human remains while at a fishing pond. This was last night around 7 o'clock. This is in the area 4220 West, Lake Park Boulevard. This was a very interesting discovery here. Very, really kind of a gruesome discovery. We've got some video here to show you. We had a crew out there last night as they were pulling these bones from this pond. So this was again, Lake Park Boulevard in the area 4220 West. And Lieutenant Bill Merritt spoke with our crew out there at the scene. And this is a fisherman who found a human skull that was floating in the water. So they had crime scene techs go out to this scene last night, and we had our crew out there as well and witnessed as they pulled different bones from the water. Described a femur from the water, described different parts of these bones, various states of decay coming out of the water. And so this interview took place with Lieutenant Bill Merritt last night, and we want to play some of that interview to get you caught up on what we know about this situation. I want to show you this map for those of you who are not familiar with where this is out in West Valley City. So this is pretty far west out there, an industrial area, but the area has been built up over the years, but not necessarily a typical fishing pond as you would imagine. Not somewhere you would imagine families going out there to fish, necessarily to go out. And pretty interesting for somebody to be out there late at night fishing in this area. I grew up in West Valley City, not somewhere I would expect to be fishing late at night as well. So, but nevertheless, somebody was out there, saw this, called 911, and sure enough, crews get out there and they start discovering what becomes human remains. And sure enough, we start getting some of these details. West Valley City Police say they don't have any missing person cases at this point coming out of their city. And so I want to play some of this interview we have from Lieutenant Bill Merritt from West Valley City Police as we're learning more details about this case. So this first one here, just some of the information we're learning, the initial call that they got to go out there to West Valley, to this pond. The first call to get out there from this caller when they first discovered a skull floating on the water.
Well, about 7 o'clock, we received a call from a gentleman who was over here behind me who was fishing and said that he saw what he believed to be human bones. So one of our officers responded and was able to actually confirm that he was right. He found a human skull that was floating in the water. So we called our detectives. The detectives in turn called the medical examiner's office. They've been out here for a little bit and were able to recover a handful of different human bones. We don't really know anything more than that right now. We don't have any reports of missing persons that we suspect it may be, no cases of unsolved homicides without a body, so we're not really sure who this person's going to be or really even how long they've been inside the water.
Okay, so that's the first little bit of information we get from this case. So they get out there, they get that initial call, a human skull floating there on the water, a pretty scary discovery if you're the person out there fishing on this pond. They get out there and one by one, from our witness accounts, we had people out there on the scene. They start pulling these individual bones out of the water. This next piece of sound from Lieutenant Bill Merritt is talking about the different pieces of evidence, those different bones that they started collecting there out of the water. Listen.
So since the call came in around 7 o'clock, it's been probably about 4 hours or so for them to get here on scene and to collect everything that they needed. And of course, they don't know exactly how big the scene is. So they're in the water, they're looking for anything that they can get, clothing, identification. To my knowledge, they didn't find anything that's going to be helpful in that area. So they're going to have to work to ascertain who this person is, their identity, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so we learned there they don't have any clothing, no identification, nothing to lead them to any understanding of who this individual is or how long this person has been there. So that's kind of frustrating, right? So we don't know how this person got there. We don't know if this is somebody who's been there for a long period of time, if this is somebody who's come through a canal in a different area. A lot of questions remain here, how this person got there, how long they've been there, okay? So further questions here. Could this be multiple victims, right? Could this be all one person? So here's what Lieutenant Bill Merritt had to say about that. We'll cue this up for you here.
It's hard to say right now if the bones are all from the same person. It looks like it is. We did find the one skull, and so there's no indication as to whether we have multiple victims, but it looks like right now it's just going to be a single victim.
Is there any details you can give us?
Okay, so we've got a single victim is what they're looking at right now. No clothing, no identification that they've been able to find, nothing in terms of whether they can tell if this is male or female, nothing to indicate any sort of gender, nothing to indicate how long this person has been there, other than to say that this person has appeared to have been there for a long period of time, only because we know we're looking at bones here, right? Long period of decay. Again, based on what we were able to witness, we're looking at bones being pulled from the water. I don't want to be callous as we talk about this, but just to let you know the length of time it would take for it to get to this point where we're pulling bones out of the water, right? And so we're looking at a long period of time that somebody would need to be in the water for that to happen. This is not a very deep pond we're looking at out in this area, more of an industrial type area where these ponds exist. And so interesting, right? So we already heard, they said they don't have any missing person cases in this area, but I do want to play a little bit more about what Lieutenant Merritt had to say about this area in which it was found. So this is what he had to say last night when our crews were talking to him about that.
So it appears that within about a 20 to 30 yard area in a shallow part of the pond was where most of the bones were found. They weren't up on the bank or anything like that, but they were all still inside the water.
Okay, so still inside the water, not on the bank necessarily of this pond area. I'm looking at some of your comments here, and I appreciate those of you who are weighing in on this. A lot of you are asking the question we all tend to ask when we get something like this that happens. I'm going to, Bryn here. I always secretly hope that when they find remains that it's Susan Powell. That's always the question many of us always go to, right? Those of us who have lived here for many, many years. I grew up in West Valley City. I've covered Susan Powell's case for many, many years. Lieutenant Bill Merritt, who you just heard from right there, he has covered her case. He was on her case. I interviewed him out at Topaz Mountain when remains were found out there. So I'm sure his mind goes there too. I can't speak for him, but that is always where many of our minds go, right? When human remains are found anywhere in this state, could it be? We don't know, right? We don't know. But that's always the question. So I know a lot of us think that, and a lot of us hope that someday she is going to be found. So I think it's only natural when many of us have our thoughts go that direction. So I know when many of you say that, we're all thinking that question, but we don't know, right? It's going to take time. The medical examiner will have testing to do. That's going to take time. But I think that's a question that many of us naturally have when human remains are found, especially when cases are tied to West Valley City. I just think that's a natural reaction that many of us have. So I appreciate many of you weighing in, and it's very sad to think that, and for any human remains to be found anywhere, because that's somebody's loved one, right? And hopefully we get some answers very, very quickly, because that's somebody's loved one somewhere, and hopefully somebody will get some answers very quickly, because somebody is waiting for answers as to who this is somewhere. We have one more piece of sound from Lieutenant Bill Merritt here, in terms of the decomposition of these bones, because that kind of leads to how long these bones may have been out there, right, in this area. Obviously, over time, infrastructure builds in these areas. You know, who knows how long they may have been out there. It might have been a little bit more rural in terms of how long they have been out there and things built up around it. So here's what Bill Merritt said in terms of the decomposition of these bones.
Don't have any reports of missing persons that we believe may be this person. We're going to have to, go against the records that we've got, other agencies as well. We don't have any idea how long the body's been there. There is an extended state of decomposition, so it's going to be a significant amount of time, but we don't know for sure how long.
Okay, so no missing person cases out of West Valley. Obviously, we have the Susan Powell case that has been ongoing for a very, very long time. But no current missing persons cases out of West Valley City. We have a lot of cities here in Utah. I'm sure they'll be checking in with other cities. But I think right now what it comes down to is testing. The medical examiner's office, DNA testing, seeing what we can figure out in terms of other agencies, the collaboration around the state of Utah, figuring out, but it's really going to come down to the DNA testing, seeing what we can figure out in terms of who these bones belong to. But certainly a very surprising discovery for not only that agency out there, but for the individual who discovered these remains. You go out fishing at a pond, you don't expect to find that. I feel for that person out there. Grateful that they paid attention and called law enforcement immediately. They were able to get out there, and those crews were able to take care of that very, very quickly. And hopefully we can get some answers for not only whoever has this open case, trying to figure out who these belong to, but for a family out there who's probably waiting for some answers, right? So anyway, I just wanted to catch you up on the very, very latest on what's happening out there in West Valley City. Appreciate everyone who's been weighing in on this. Again, I know we all have that nagging question. Is this that one case? We don't know. We will certainly be paying very, very close attention to whoever these remains belong to, and hopefully we can get you some answers. But we just wanted to update you, and that is the very latest. So as soon as we get more, we will certainly bring you those details as soon as we have them. But that is the very latest here in the KSL Stream Center from what we know with what's happening out in West Valley City. And we will of course invite you to join us over on KSL 5 News at noon here in just about an hour and 5 minutes. But for now, we'll let you go for this Wednesday morning. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you over on KSL 5 News at noon.